Welcome back, baseball fans, to the Winter Baseball Classic 1973. We've got another elimination round game tonight between New Orleans and Tucson. Two wonderful places to visit, by the way. Actually, this is New Orleans. It's in a cemetery, St. Louis Cemetery 1. And then this is in Tucson with, of course, the purple skies they have out west. Palm trees in each scene. Isn't that cute? Anyway, New Orleans and Tucson tonight in elimination round Winter Baseball Classic. And it is Tucson that is up 2-1 in a best of 5. And tonight's matchup, well, it's an intriguing one. It's going to be Dick Drago for New Orleans and Ron Reed for Tucson. Now, what makes that intriguing is both pitchers are on the Colorado Rocky keeper list. So they want their eyes on these guys to see how well they're doing. They might be competing for the same spot in the rotation. One guy might go to the bullpen, both guys might go to the bullpen. Turns out both Drago and Ron Reed did exactly that in their careers. Reed was a starter in Atlanta, then eventually went to the Philadelphia bullpen. Dick Drago started in Kansas City and eventually ended up in Boston's bullpen late in the decade. So that's the type of analysis we get in these things. We don't get analysis that's quite important for all the players. But it's important to keep my eyes on these 73 cards. It's the last time we use this card set this year, in the year 2025, and the cards will go away. So I need to know as much as I can before the draft. That's why we play a fun little tournament. So Tucson's up 2-1. This is game 4 in Tucson. If they win this, the series is over. And I will show New Orleans, the 20 cards that make up New Orleans, so you can take a look at them. If New Orleans wins this, I almost said the Saints. The Saints win this. The New Orleans Sugar Magnolia, as they're called, is Winter Baseball Classic. If they win this game, then Game 5 will be back home in New Orleans at Louis Armstrong Park, we believe. Anyway, let's get started. Fun spring baseball. Leading off for New Orleans is George, batting out of order, 55 rounds a second. Ken Berry, 65, second X. Second baseman for Tucson is Paul Popovich, a waived player. He grounds to second. Makes the play at second. And Tom Hutton, also on waivers, second X. And again, Popovich. This time he boots that one. Don Money, batting fourth. Skies at center field. Bottom of the first, Steve Hovley, 5'10", third X. Third baseman is Don Money at 2E15. And that's going to be a single off his 2 defense. What's interesting, that would happen. So Don Money presently has a card in the carryover league where he's a 1 third baseman. See, this is why we get to look and see, well, see, if you switched cards, his defense would suffer and you'd give up a hit in this situation. Of course, you can't get a single off a 1 third baseman. Batting second, Frank Baker, 56, short X. Shortstop, Dale Maxwell's at 2E22. He's also on waivers. Ground ball C. I'm just I can remember guys who are on waivers, so I bring it up when it's pertinent. Jose Cardinal, 65, pops a second. He's a Cub keeper. And Jim Wynn, 4'11", left X. Left fielder is Carlos May, a 3E3. He's on the White Sox keeper list. He gives up a double, and that'll score a run. Number 5 hitter, Gale Hopkins, 47. Single on a 4 off Drago, gets it. They're on the corners with 2 outs for Bill Russell. 68, another single to center field. Run scores, Hopkins stays second. 2 outs for Popovich, 2-12 is the line out. Tucson with a 2-0 lead. Eyeballing both 20-man rosters, I gave New Orleans called them the favorite to win this series, and it has not happened at all. Tucson is 1 win away of winning this thing 3-1. New Orleans has some great starting pitching, not necessarily Dick Drago, but they have Don Sutton, Vida Blue, Steve Stone joining Dick Drago. That's why I thought they might win this series handily. Top of the second, it's Carlos May. 2-4 rolls back to the mound. Dusty Baker, 1-7, homer 1-9, it's gone. Dusty Baker's card's up for Atlanta. John Stevenson, 39, flies to right. And Pat Bork, 1-6, homer 1-18, that is gone. And that's his second home run in this tournament. And he hit 7 in 139 at-bats. He's trying to make a case to say, hey, I could be a designated hitter for some, a platoon DH for one of your teams. Highly unlikely, but because he only hit 184 or hit 209, but you never know about these things. That's why we play the tournament. Here's Dale Maxwell, 36, ground ball to short. Dale Maxwell's not overly concerned about not making the summer league because he's a 2 shortstop. And very seldom do I pass up getting a 2 shortstops defense into my league. So I'm pretty sure Maxwell's been a frequent flyer in the league. Now, he's been on many different teams, but he always seems to end up with a 1-year contract for somebody. Bottom of the second, it's John Boccabella. 67, single 1-19, gets it. Skip Jutzy, 68, another single. Steve Hovley, 110, another single to center field. They're loaded for Frank Baker. 47, single 104, and he gets the 4. Well, Dick Drago fans, it's not going very well. He's got an 8-hitter now with 3 outs recorded. Tucson's hitting 8 for 11 off of him. Do the math on that one. Bases loaded, no one out still for Jose Cardinal. 33 for Cardinals, a pop to second. Now you got the toy cannon, Jim Wynn. 45, short X. This is where Maxwell can help his team, a 2-22, and that's a double play. See, that's what I'm telling you, folks. I'm pretty sure Maxwell's getting into this league. All 2 shortstops usually get in. That's just, turn that into a single ... the game's essentially over, right? Inning double play, it's a 1-run game. We go to the third. George Orta grounds a second. Ken Berry, 2-9, lines a short. Tom Hutton, 5'11", first C. Bottom of the third, it's Gale Hopkins, 57, flies to right. Bill Russell, 2-5, rolls over to third base, and Paul Popovich, 36, pops out. Nice comeback inning for Drago, who has 6 straight outs retired. Don Money, 1-7, base hit. Ace stealer. Let's test out those wheels. Oh, he rolls an 18. Didn't work out. Carlos May, 63, comebacker to the mound. Dusty Baker, 65, a second X. This is Popovich again, a 3-16 second baseman. Makes the play. Bottom of the fourth. Boccabella, 36, third. Skip Jutzy, 2-6 center. He's never been in our carryover league yet. Steve Hovley, 34, flies to right. 5th inning now. John Stevenson, put on waivers by the Tigers, 67 as a K. Pat Bork, homered earlier on his own card, 212, grounds a second. And here's Maxwell, 38, a strikeout. Maxwell, if you're wondering, hit 189. Looking at the card, which we may or may not see at the end of the video, depending on how well New Orleans plays. Maxwell's a reasonable 260 hitter versus lefties. He's just terrible versus righties. All right, bottom of the 5th. Frank Baker, 55, a walk. Jose Cardinal, 2-4 double play. Not a good day for Jose. It's over. Jim Wynn, 58, skies center field. Drago, nice recovery from a bad start. It's 3-2 in the 6th. George Orta, 49, single. Ken Berry, 37K. Tom Hutton, 2-3. Pops to first. Don Money, 52. Flies to right field. Bottom of the 6th. It's Gale Hopkins, 65. Center. Bill Russell, 1-5. Grounds a short. And Paul Popovich, 1-8. Single 1-19 gets it. John Boccabella, 2-9. Flies to center field. Well, turns out Ron Reed and Dick Drago figured things out in this little tournament. They're doing okay. Good news for the Colorado Rockies. I mean, they're not typical aces. Probably better suited to be, 3, 4, 5 in the rotation, but again, it's Colorado. They don't expect much out of their starting pitchers. Top of the 7th is Carlos May. 2-8 is a walk. C stealer. Plus 1 arm catcher. Let's try stolen base. And again, doesn't work. Well, we tried some things with Carlos May. Trying to get some value out of him. John Stevenson, 49 is a single. Pat Bork, 47, single on a 4. Cannot get it. And with 2 outs, it's Dale. It's Pat Bork. 68. Double on a 14 is single ... That puts runners on the corners for Dale Maxwell. And he strikes out. 7 innings in the book for Ron Reed with a 3-2 lead. Hit the point of weakness in that inning, so we'll have him call it a day. Drago is still chasing a win down a run, so he'll continue in the 7th as well. Skip Jutzy, 58 center. It's improving thus far in this tournament that the pitching is better than the hitting, or at least it's deeper than the hitting. There's some really questionable batters in these games. And so the league ERA for the tournament is down. Steve Hovley, 57, flies to right. Frank Baker, 2-7, pops to short. 3-2 game. I blew completely past the 7th inning stretch music. So we'll get to that here. We'll get to that now. I have a moment. We are listening to, this is the Meat Puppets, Up on the Sun LP from 1986, I believe. The Meat Puppets were a band from Tucson. I think the Kirkwood brothers. There's the LP there. Up on the Sun. Swimming Ground coming up next. That was a cool one. Hot Pink, which we're hearing. A slower version of Up on the Sun. Nice record. The Meat Puppets, 1985. Back to the game. We'll go into the top of the 8th. Reed leaves with a 3-2 lead. New Orleans is 6 outs away from leaving the tournament. But the good news for New Orleans is that the starting pitching for our league is much better than the relief pitching, which is very questionable. So Tucson will go to their pen and see if they can get 6 outs. First, they'll call on Brent Strom. We have his 75 card in our summer league, but in 73 he was 2-10 with a 4.61 ERA. Orta will swing away. 48, triple on a 4 double, and just like that, the tie runs at third base. Infield's going to come up for A. Bunning, Ken Berry. 3-10, single 1 to 11, but he lines out on a 14. Tough break for New Orleans. Still up for Tom Hutton. 37 is a K with 2 outs. Big moment here for Don Money, trying to tie this game up. 4-11 off of Strom, pitcher X. Can you field your position? Brent Strom's an E11. That's pretty good. Should be able to get this one. And he does. Terrible break for New Orleans. Leadoff triple. Stuck there after a pop-out, strikeout, and a comebacker to the mound. Their season, or their tournament, is 3 outs away. Drago is going to leave after 7. We saw what he could do after the rough start. He settled down. But we really need to get our eyes on other players. So we're going to bring in lefty Rudy May. He's on the Ohio player keeper list. So we're trying to distinguish which Rudy May card, and 73, 4, 5, 6 is the best. So we'll go with the 73 card in our little tournament here. And he'll face Jose Cardinal leading off in the bottom of the 8th. 37's a walk. Cardinal's a B stealer. Stevens has got a +1 arm. Jim Wynn is up, and he walks a lot. So let's take a few pitches, see what he can draw a walk. 39. Jim Wynn, single 1 to 16, gets it. 2 on for Gale Hopkins, who can't hit lefties. So we're going to bat pinch hit Willie Mays with his 73 card. He's just a 211 hitter. I'm of the opinion that either this card won't get in the league because it's Willie Mays, and I don't like to see my Hall of Famers, or the Hall of Gods if you want to put Mays above the Hall of Fame. You know, carve a statue of Mays and have it placed on top of Cooperstown. I'm more inclined to think that I'm not going to let a really lousy Willie Mays card be in our summer league, or the Giants or maybe the Mets will have the card in like a designated hitter platoon option if those teams need it. That's probably all I'm going to do with Willie Mays. So he's up now with a 1-4, 11-12 template. And here's the pitch. 2-7's a strikeout. All right, number 6 hitter Bill Russell. 1-6 is 6-4-3 double play. They're making it difficult here. We got a 3-2 game in the 9th. And Brent Strom will continue and face Carlos Mayer, pinch hitter. I think they're going to... He doesn't hit lefties very well. We're going to have a pinch hitter. We're going to have Rick Reichert come in the game and pinch hit. And then there's a righty on deck. And I think we're going to go to the bullpen. Dave Sells trying to compete for a job. He's got a 3.71 ERA. He's very bad against lefties, good against righties. He will face Rick Reichert leading off here in the 9th. Here's the pitch to Rick Reichert. 2-6 is a walk. That'll bring up number 6 hitter Dusty Baker. 59, and there's double 1 of 17 off the Sells card. See what I'm talking about, folks? It's hard to close these games out. 2nd and 3rd in a 3-2 game. Infield comes up for John Stevenson. 63, short X. Shortstop is Bill Russell. Is a 2 shortstop. Makes the play with the infield up so the runners hold their spots. Now you got Pat Bork. And he homered earlier. It's almost like you get a homer, maybe a sac fly, or not much else. Or you can pinch hit Chuck Brinkman or Dave Kingman, but Dave Sells is better against righties and lefties. So Pat Bork will swing away with the infield up. Another 6-4, or this is 6-4, catcher's card. Now you got Skip Jutzy. He's a 4-6 catcher. Good luck with that, trying to get out of the pass ball or wild pitch. And unfortunately, you get the pass ball. We got a tie game. Oh boy, folks. Nothing like extending a spring training game. So you got a runner at 3rd with 2 outs, and number 9 hitter Dale Maxville. 3-10 is a fly ball to left. We have a 3-3 tie in the bottom of the 9th. Rudy May, it's Popovich, Bacabella, and Jutzy. We're going to leave Rudy May in for a 2nd inning of relief. Extra innings will be just like the modern game. We'll put a ghost runner at 2nd base. So Popovich leads off in the bottom of the 9th. 46 off Rudy May is a strikeout. John Bacabella, 58, flies to center field. Batting for Skip Jutzy will be Rennie Stennett, pinch hitter. 67 is a strikeout. Bonus baseball in spring training. Doesn't get any better than this. So the final out was made by Maxville. We'll put him on 2nd base. What I do is I put a 0 because the number 0 does not impact the box score at all. Just lets me know there's a runner at 2nd base when I see that symbol there. So he's at 2nd base to start the 10th inning, and it'll be the top of the lineup. And I think we're going to give another reliever a chance here. Sells pitched an inning, blew the save. So we're going to go to Roger Nelson to 10. Roger Nelson's card is up. Roger Nelson had a brilliant 1972 with Kansas City. Then we traded him, much like they traded him for Hal McRae in regular baseball. We traded him to an expansion team because we know, though, he'll never live up to the 72 season he just finished. So a much weaker version of Roger Nelson will come in the 10th inning. He'll face George Orta. 53, comebacker to the mound. Ken Berry, 55, is a walk. Tom Hutton, 512, second X. This is Popovich, a 316 at second base. And that's a double play. So the walk set up a double play with a runner at second. You're scoring that. Yeah. They're almost like they're intentional walks. And it's just to get 2 outs with a runner at third. But bottom of the inning. Rudy Mays pitched a couple innings. But now we want to go take a peek at rubber-armed Mike Marshall in the bottom of the 10th. This is the 73 card of Marshall. Is not quite as good as the 74 card of Marshall, which wins the Cy Young, pitching over 200 innings. Must be noted that the 73 version pitched 179 innings, which is a ton of innings out of the bullpen anyway. Did it with the Expos. So either card, really. You don't have to convince yourself that it has to be 1974 for him. Final out in the bottom of the 9th was Rennie Stennett as the pinch hit DH. So he will be the runner at second base. Now the home team often bunts the runner over to third if the road team doesn't score. However, Hovley's a C bunter, which isn't particularly good, so we'll just have him swing away. 55, second X. This will do the job. George Orta's a 324 at second base. Moves the runner to third. The infield has to come up for Frank Baker. Frank Baker's a 190 hitter. A game-winning hit might go a long way in Frank Baker's chances of getting picked up in the Summer League. Here's the pitch to Frank Baker. 64 off of Mike Marshall. Oh, this will work. This will do the trick. It's homer 1-2, fly ball. It is a sac fly to end the game unceremoniously. Ghost runner at second base, a ground ball to second, and a sac fly. That'll do it. That will end this series right here, right now, as Tucson wins the series 3-1. Let me put the box together. A quick look at stats, and then after that, we'll have a look at the New Orleans roster. So Roger Nelson pitched the 10th inning, gets the win. Walked the batter. Dave Sells in the 9th gave up a hit, a run, and a walk. Brent Strom gave up a hit and a K. No decision for Ron Reed. He pitched very well. 6 hits, a couple runs that were earned. Solo homers. Walk and 4 strikeouts. Mike Marshall takes a loss in the 10th inning. Only actually 2/3 of an inning. He takes the loss there. It was an earned run. No hits allowed. The inherited runner, is the inherited runner earned? I'm assuming it is. He didn't reach for an error. He's just placed there. Boy, a lot of relief pitchers are going to hate that inherited runner scoring just to run their ERA up if that is the case. Rudy May, a hit, a walk, and 3 Ks. And Dick Drago, we thought he'd be gone early in this game. He hung around for 7 innings, giving up 9 hits and 3 runs in the first 2 innings, and after that he settled down pretty nicely. Walk, no strikeouts. 1-0-0-10, 0-1-0, 9 2/3, 4-10-3-8, 4-10-3-8, 3-5-2-3, 2-3-3-5. Well, it just goes to show you, folks, the more talented New Orleans team just lost 3 out of 4 and got bounced out of the tournament. Yeah, it's just spring training baseball. Not super uber competitive. So, it's almost random who wins the thing. We'll take a look at some stats of the, dozen or so games that these teams have played at this point. See if we can glean anything from it. Tucson had a rough start, losing 4 out of 5, and then they've won 3 out of 4. So they're 4-5 in the tournament, hitting just .203 with a 5.11 ERA. Jim Perry, 24 innings, just 7 runs allowed, has a win. far as the offense goes, Jose Cardinal showing a very nice card, 12 for 34. Probably the best hitter on the Tucson team. New Orleans is done. Oddly enough, just a game behind the team that advances. They're 4-7. They hit 240 with a 4.14 ERA. Don't blame Don Sutton. Don Sutton 3-0. Everybody else 1-7 combined. Sutton gave up 8 runs in 23 innings. Offensively, Pat Bork had 3 home runs and 6 RBI to pace this team. 6 for 25. That means he hits 240 with a card hit 209. Well, I mean, if you roll lucky with a card like that, 50 points over your average, and you hit homers on 1.5 and an 18 chance on 1.6, we'll see that card actually coming up. Then you got a shot. So 4-7, 4-5. We'll show you how we advance the tournament schedule here. So here is the result: Tucson, New Orleans. Tucson wins this 3-1, but they're 4-5. And New Orleans finishes 4-7, which is actually a good record for a team to get bounced in the first round. They're 3 under 500. Tucson is still a game under 500. This balances the bracket as a +0. Memphis has a bye. Mississippi has a higher seed than Tucson. New Orleans is over with. I can go to the rotations, do the same thing as well here. Ron Reed, Dick Drago, there's no game 5. So New Orleans is done. And the next best of 3 round that Tucson will participate in, Jim Perry will pitch in game 2. Terry Forster will get the start actually in game. There we go. Forster, Perry, and then Joe Decker, as Tucson continues in the tournament. All right, we'll stick a pin in this now, and we're going to look at the 20 cards of the New Orleans team that got bounced with some commentary. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for checking this out. Okay, here's the elimination of the New Orleans players. And they're in 4 groups. First group, we don't really need to analyze. These are guys who have cards in the Summer League in a different year. That includes Dave Kingman, Don Money. I mentioned he's got a 1 third base card in our league, so we don't need this one. Borda. Vida Blue, who's got his 74 card. Actually, he's got his 75 card, and we believe Ohio's going to take the 76 card, but it's worth even looking at this one. Still a 20-game winner with a 3.28 ERA. Moreover, it's the 5 template, meaning he was the 5th best ERA on Oakland. And he's going to win 20 games when you're playing for Oakland A's, so that's why we think the 76 version, when Oakland's breaking up the dynasty, is actually better. And Buzz Capper's got a magnificent 74 card that the Braves are presently using. So we go from looking at that, now we've got players who need to be analyzed here. Dusty Baker is on Atlanta. This is probably the last good year with Atlanta at 288. Was at 320. Still got great defense. 21 homers in the 288. Still a great card. Probably will take this card. And then eventually he gets traded to the Dodgers. I believe this is the last good Ken Berry card, particularly with the incredible defense at center field. He was once a 1E0. He's a 1E1 now. He made 1 error. Imagine making 1 error in 2 years. Still crushes lefties. He's probably like a 280, 270. 284 hitter because of the high percentage over there. So he'll be picked up by Las Vegas. Now here's an interesting move here. Carlos May and the White Sox. He's on their keeper list. And, you know, this is actually, over on the right side, it's actually pretty good. I'm not crazy about the 4 there. But I mean, you know, he's never going to be as good as he is in 72. You know, Dick Allen and Carlos May in 72 had magic years. Dick Allen will continue the magic. Carlos May will not. So he really drops down to a 268, which is really 20 home runs kind of sneak up on you. But look, no triples and just 20 doubles. So, yeah, you like that homer there. And not the greatest defensive player. I'm not sure what direction the White Sox are going with that. Sutton had a great tournament in losing. No surprise there. The Dodgers hardly supported him with run support in the last few years. He's 28 years old with this card. Oddly enough, the three pitchers coming up, Sutton, Drago, and Rudy May, are all 28 years old. That's rather strange. This is one of the four options for Sutton you can take. Certainly would be fine. He's a star here, but I think he's even better in some of the other years. Here's the Drago card as a starter. You're going to load up with the lefties. And though he survived the game we played, that's not going to be as fortunate in the Summer League. Lefties will knock him around. So you don't really want him pitching on 3 days west with a 4.23 ERA. He might be to the point where you go to a later version of his card where he's a reliever. One of four really good Rudy May cards in the timeline. Starter, relief, relief, starter. Gets those lefties out, strikes out a lot of guys there. Probably better suited to be a reliever. 4.38 ERA. But again, that's because of that high percentage here versus righties. You can change that if you put him in the bullpen. Again, one of two great Mike Marshall cards. So 74 is that remarkable year of over 200 innings with the Dodgers. But when you look at 73, he's still good. So you really could go with either card. He's going to be relief 4, which is all that matters. The innings pitched, 179. It doesn't really matter. 208 innings, 179 innings for a reliever, it doesn't matter. And he's a relief 4 both times, as expected. Steve Stone's just a guy, we like to say often, a jag. Nothing special going on with his card. 429, 176 innings. All right, then you've got four guys who are put on waivers. Tom Hutton, the defense will come before the offense. 2, he'll be a 1 in 76. That'd be a high value card. But that's a nice batting average over here in a platoon. Here's the Maxwell card we talked about. Great defense at short. I'd live with this as a full-time platoon, lefties half the time, and then I find somebody else to play shortstop versus righties who can't field. That's easy to find. John Stevenson, a left-handed hitting catcher. He doesn't have power anymore. Used to have power. Hit and run ability. Decent average. Not overly vulnerable versus lefties if for some reason your other catcher gets hurt and you got to go with him both sides. 260, 246. And Jack Akers really come down a lot. He's dropped every year that he's gotten older, and that's just not going to work. He's just given up too many base runners to the lefties. It's a 4.08 ERA, which is optimistic. I don't think it'll work out for him. And now we're down to the last three guys. And these guys, I mentioned in the 2560 series, 4 years, these cards have not been drafted. This is their 4th time through. Pat Bork, and you've got to hit that homer in the 18 there. Get a double hit, like the walks, make that single. You get hit by pitch there as well. So that is as good as it gets for this guy. Is it good enough to find a part-time role as a platoon, DH, pinch hitter? Roster spots are very precious. It's very hard. You kind of need another trick. And defense is not one of them. Nothing else in the top line either. I don't know if that's just... The power's there, just not enough on base. If he had a walk on 7 and 6 and legit hits there. Dude hit 260, he might make the league, but 209. Chuck Brinkman, a -1 arm catcher. Check. That's good. Power against lefties. That's good. And A. Bunner. Very good. He only could hit. He's got some nice things up here to make you go, huh. All right, so immediately then, since he's such a terrible hitter, let's make him only hit on one side, which is this side. Which is a real shame because he's pretty symmetrical, which is what you don't want to see. You want to see him 187. I could deal with 187 if he's a 250 hitter on one side of the card, but he's not. Still, he has a -1 arm. There may be a team that just goes for the -1 arm as they search for an 8th round pick or a free agent to come in late in the games because you got like a +2 arm catcher starting games. And our last player is Rick Reichert. He had a card in the league a few years ago. Then he disappeared. Then he's back with this one. Like Pat Bork, unfortunately, he's right-handed. And these guys are dime a dozen. Corner outfielder, terrible throwing arm. Power against righties, but not against lefties. You know, he's got more on base than Bork, but he's right-handed again. So he's a 250 hitter. I can't imagine, yeah, this is tough. If this was over there and you flipped him, then you might have him be in a platoon, but I don't know. It will be interesting to see in the draft. Remember, we have a lot of guys on the retired list, or put it this way, we don't have a lot of guys coming off the retired list getting drafted, which means that a lot of those spots in previous years, about a dozen guys get called out of retirement every year. But they might end up being these marginal guys take those spots. And it just could be a year where you just have some really questionable players completing the 20-man rosters. That's a look at 20 players from 1973 in the New Orleans squad. Hope you're enjoying this kind of analysis, and we'll see you next time.